The 2013 election cycle draws first blood. It's coming from Jersey City. And a Cold War in the legislature starts to heat up. I'm Luke Margolis. This is New Jersey Power and Politics. Hello and welcome to New Jersey Power and Politics. I'm Luke Margolis. We'll get this weekend's show started in Jersey City. Anytime a multi-term incumbent loses, I guess you gotta call it an upset, and this one ends Jerry Healy's run as mayor. 36-year-old Steve Fulop is the city's new mayor-elect. He is the current councilman from downtown Ward E. It was a bruising campaign that reminded folks just how much fun Hudson County can be during election season. The mayor-elect will be here in studio a little bit later in the show. Heading down to Trenton, where gun control advocates are going to have to wait a little longer to see some stricter rules in New Jersey. Democrats seem to have the votes to get all these bills through the legislature this week, but a technical problem meant the main bill will have to wait until later this month. It includes a system of instant background checks and makes changes to the state's firearm purchaser ID card.
Most importantly, we have to make sure that the bad guys don't get guns. I honestly think that we've done a very good job with the bills. And hopefully the Assembly will move forward on them when they get them. Unfortunately, they won't be till May 30th.
Those who know politics probably recognize there's a little bit more to the story here. This week, the folks over at PolitickerNJ.com did a little digging and found out the reason the Senate couldn't get the Sweeney background check bill up for a vote had to do with some political bad blood. Here to give us the dirty details is Darryl Isherwood. He's the editor of PolitickerNJ.com. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Plus, you're a BU guy, so that's always
right.
that's welcome here on Power and
Good,
Politics.
good.
All right, what happened out there in the Senate chamber earlier this week?
So, as we understand it, Senator Sweeney his bill came up from OLS incorrect. It was drafted incorrectly. So what I guess they wanted to do was amend it and vote on it on the floor. He supposedly went to get an emergency vote in order to do that, and it was blocked by the minority leader, Senator Tom Kean.
So they had a snafu. They've got to go through this procedural motion to allow them to vote on a bill that basically would then be introduced for the first time, I guess, so to speak. Kean said no dice. Well, what do we think is behind all this?
Well, there's bad blood between these two guys, and this has been brewing for a little while. I don't know specifically why Kean said no. There was some, talk back and forth. It was at the staff level and things like that. So, depending on who you talk to. But the bad blood started back in, I guess it was January. Tom Kean floated a memo about sort of the Senate Republicans' road to victory in this fall's elections.
Okay.
In that memo, he identified District 3, which is Steve Sweeney's district, as vulnerable. And he talked about it as in a way that said, not only is he vulnerable this year, but he's vulnerable. We ought to be targeting this district. And he came up with, I think there were 5 other districts on there. So I think that set Steve off to start. And then...
Who doesn't take those kind of slights lightly?
No, and there's, he sees himself, he's the Senate president, there should be a little bit of courtesy, decorum in this setting. And so then Kean doubled down on that a little bit, actually recruited a candidate out of the Comptroller's office to run against, one by the name of Nikki Trunk, to run against Steve. Doubled down again in his comments when she was introduced, and then just sent a bunch of money down to District 3 to fund her campaign.
So the battle is on.
Yeah, so, and Steve is seeing that as, he's being tweaked. It's, he's seeing that as slights. This was sort of the final straw. Kean said, no, I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to allow my guys to vote on this emergency. So the bill's now got to wait. And I think Steve just said, you know what? I'm in charge here. Now I'm going to pay. There's some payback to be had.
So what's the price for this?
So what he did is he went in and he pulled every Republican-sponsored bill, prime sponsor, off the agenda for Monday. We're told this is going to last into the foreseeable future, however long that is.
Yanking these bills.
Yanking all the Republican bills. Now, you're not talking about carnage here. There were 7 bills.
Right.
But obviously they're important to the Republicans. They're important to the people that they affect in those Republican districts. And Steve's just sending a message, hey, I'm in charge here. If you want to play games with me, I'm going to play games with you.
These two guys are the highest ranking members of this body from each party. Are you surprised that it's, I guess, taken, because it seems like at least they've had a bit of a collegial in public relationship. You surprised that this is bubbling to the surface now? Is this a long time in coming?
I think it's a long time in coming, but there's always some things on the floor, let's call them procedural things that happen between these guys. But, the Senate generally gets along better than, let's say, the Assembly done. Yeah, it's not the same kind of body as the Assembly, just like the House and Senate at the federal level. And so I think that the guys who've been around a while sort of expect things to keep going along that way. Kane's job in this election is to win some races. And so he's trying to do that as well as, giving Sweeney a couple of tweaks here and there. I think he accomplished his goal. He certainly got Steve to react. But this takes it to a new level because now you're talking policy stuff. Now you're getting into...
And it's blown out in the open.
Yeah, and now it's in the open, and quite obviously they wanted it there. And so it's out there, and now it's affecting these bills. And that like you see at the federal level with the gridlock. That doesn't always sit well with people when they see their legislators, the people they've elected to go to office, sniping at each other and playing games. So.
Plus, in an area where, at least in the last legislative election, there was very few turnover, seems ambitious to maybe pull some seats.
Absolutely.
All right, Joe.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming in. Join us again soon. I'm sure we'll have no shortage of hot water heating up as things get closer to November. Good to see you.
Thanks.
All right, folks, stay with us. A lot coming up today. Jersey City's next mayor is here. He joins us on set. But first, he's leading the state's inquiry into Ash Britt. Comptroller Matt Boxer is next. Welcome back to New Jersey Power and Politics. I'm Luke Margolis. There's a lot of money to be spent in rebuilding after Superstorm Sandy. And my next guest is the man whose job it is to make sure the state spends that money wisely. State Comptroller Matt Boxer is the official gatekeeper of all state contracts related to Sandy. Is that a fair way to phrase it? State gatekeeper, so to speak?
We're one of the gatekeepers. We've got a lot of help. There are a lot of different hands in that effort, but we're certainly working hard at it.
The governor early on in a public statement said, look, when you have this much money floating around, it's going to attract all kinds of people. I think unscrupulous was one of the ways he used to phrase it as far as folks are concerned. In your earliest indications, since you haven't been on this particular beat for too long, do you think so far the state's getting the most bang for its buck as far as money's concerned?
Well, it's very early in the process. I think so far we've got all the right kinds of procedures in place to safeguard public funds and make sure that the state is getting the most bang for its buck. All of us involved in this effort realize that this effort is of critical importance. You're talking about, first, a very large amount of money, and money that is being used to help rebuild people's lives, literally. And so we are focused like a laser on making sure that waste is avoided, that improper conduct is avoided, and that the money is being used in the most efficient way possible.
How do you go through that? What types of things are you guys hearing about? Are you looking for? Give our viewers at home a sense of what it takes to be a gatekeeper for this type of process.
We've got a number of different processes in place to make sure that this effort works effectively and efficiently. This is something that I personally have been involved with before, having shepherded the state's process through the expenditure of federal stimulus funds a few years ago. So we're not unfamiliar with having to deal.
A little bit between those?
Absolutely. In both situations, you see literally billions of federal dollars coming to our state, wanting to make sure that that money is being spent in the most effective way possible. So what we've done is a multi-layered approach where we're focusing on transparency, putting up a website to track the expenditures, provide information to the public. We are monitoring all contracting by the state so that anytime the state wants to enter into a Sandy-related contract, it has to come through our office first for approval. We make sure that everything is being done appropriately. And then along the way, we're giving guidance to local public officials, instructing them on good practices, engaging in audits and investigations where we learn of improper conduct, for example, through the tip line that we've set up. And then we're also working with what we've called accountability officers in each of the departments in state government who are charged with helping to oversee this effort, along with the integrity monitors that are being hired through the bill that the legislature recently passed.
We're going to put the website and the phone number. I think we got the phone number up there now, 855-OSC-TIPS, and the transparency website we'll put up so people can get a sense of what it looks like. They'll know where to find it, and they can, I guess, stay on top of this effort. Now, you mentioned looking into potential cases of abuse and waste. Obviously, the Ash Britt situation gathered a ton of media attention recently, and it's now become public this month that you guys have been tasked to look into debris hauling. I guess give us a sense of what you've been asked to look for as it relates to Ashbridge, and if you found anything to this point.
Well, that effort is just now getting underway for us. We have begun looking into debris hauling efforts in the state and whether there have been overcharges. All of the companies involved have been cooperating with our office, and we look forward to getting that project wrapped up as quickly as possible so we can get back to the public and let them know exactly what happened, and if there are changes that need to be made, we'll make sure that those changes get made.
As far as the oversight is concerned here, I mean, clearly there are a lot of folks who are worried that politics could play a role in all of this. Give folks a sense of your office's independence as it relates to that type of thing, and I know that you were actually appointed by Governor Christie's predecessor, correct? So
yes.
Give our viewers a sense at home who may be concerned, hey, look, Governor Christie's been criticized as it relates to Ashbridge. Isn't this his comptroller looking into this? Is there a possibility that maybe we might not get the full story here? I guess straighten that out for some of our viewers.
Sure. Well, we are an independent office, and those who are familiar with the work that we've done in the past would attest to the independence with which we've approached our efforts. We are wholly uninvolved in the political or partisan process in the state. As you mentioned, I was appointed by a previous governor and confirmed by the state Senate. So we're a nonpartisan office, and I think that's why Governor Christie signed the executive order that he did, imposing the responsibilities on us to shepherd this process so that it would be a non-political and nonpartisan process.
Folks, if they want to get in touch with you guys, the phone number, and is there a way on the website they can reach out to you if they've heard things too?
Absolutely. The tip line that you mentioned before is the best way to reach us if anyone has any awareness of any improper conduct regarding Sandy-related expenditures or fraud in connection with the program. 855-OSC-TIPS. We've got trained investigators, former federal agents who are manning that line throughout the day, and we're eager to help where any indications there are of problematic conduct.
Keeping them honest. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Comptroller. Good
Thanks,
to see you
Luke.
again.
Good to be here.
All right, folks, stay with us. Up next, we sit down with the hottest name in New Jersey politics, Mayor-elect of Jersey City, Steve Fulop. Please stay with us. There's more to come on New Jersey Power and Politics. Welcome back to New Jersey Power and Politics. I'm Luke Margolis. The dust has finally settled on the first big election battle of 2013, and the man left standing, Steve Fulop, will replace longtime Mayor Jerry Healy in Jersey City this summer. But first, he joins us now. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Obviously, a wild week for you. What have the days been like since Election Day?
A lot of press stuff, setting up the transition. It's a little bit of a whirlwind, but we're excited. Couldn't be more happy.
And how is the process of setting up a transition team? Obviously, you must have just tons of stuff you have to go through. How has that been? Who are you assembling around you? What are these steps like?
You know, we've had a lot of people that have helped us along the way on the policy stuff for the last 8 years. We've had some people that helped us with platform during the campaign, and then we reached out to some people from the Healy administration. We're not looking to be butchers for just for the sake of somebody was associated with Jerry. So we're trying to do the right thing for the city, and that's the message we're trying to convey. So we'd hope by the end of this weekend to have a structured, transition team in place.
Excellent. During the campaign, you were often referenced as a guy who has a plan for all kinds of different things. You mentioned a lot of different areas of interest for you and a lot of areas that you're passionate about. You can't do them all right away, right? So what's going to be your earliest focus in this process?
We're going to do them all right away.
You heard that there, folks. You heard it here.
We are, look, the police department, some of the restructuring there, we're going to do that. We're going to do some consolidation on city departments, focusing on the budget opportunity there. And then the longer term plan is focused on the schools. So that's really the backbone to everything we're doing. The fact that we overcame political obstacles, special interest obstacles, I think we have a lot of flexibility on really doing some meaningful things in the city overall. So the good thing about this campaign is that we really did it with grassroots support. So we're coming in with an opportunity to really change things in a meaningful way. So that's where we are.
I've been covering Governor Christie for a while, and he talks about when he was transitioning in and talked about some of the things that he found left behind from Governor Corzine, things that he needed to react quickly to. But he wasn't involved in state government before he took the job.
Yeah.
You were involved municipally there
Yeah.
in Jersey City. Do you expect to see a lot of surprises? Are there things you're keeping an eye out for as you move in?
I do. We're concerned. We sent a letter over to the mayor and the administration there as far as concerns on promotions and departmental shifts or big budgetary items or anything that could impact us longer term. And then we're going to look to I'm sure once we look under kind of the sheets there, we're going to have some surprises, unfortunately. So we'll do that, and we'll see where it goes in the next 60 days.
A mayor can only do so much. Having a helpful council obviously is a big assist to a mayor, and there are a lot of unsettled issues as far as elections are concerned as it relates to the city council. How close of an eye are you keeping on that, and what are your thoughts about the relationship you'll need to cultivate with whatever comes out of the council?
So we have 8 council seats of the 9 in a runoff. I think that we have a legitimate opportunity to pull all 8 through. So it's the priority right now in order to kind of get the things done that I said I needed to get done. We're going to make a pitch to the voters in Jersey City and the residents there saying, I need the help to do this. And I think that when we make our argument, I think they'll be receptive.
Do you have an advantage coming from a council position in terms of working with council now as a mayor? How do you define the dynamic between the position you're in as mayor, as the executive, and the legislative function of the council?
I think for the last 8 years, we started off as an 8-1 minority on the council and methodically built to a 5-4 majority. So I've kind of seen that whole process through.
Wow.
And, what I'm hoping to have is a working relationship with all 9 people, at least to start on the city council, because I think it's important. We have outlined real aggressive changes for the city. We've done that during the campaign in detail so that when we do it, nobody could say that we're taking them by surprise. Right. We're going to say, I told you that we were going to do that, and we followed through on it. So it's important in order to achieve that we have a clear majority. And so we're going to invest money and resources and volunteers the same way we did during the campaign to make sure that we're successful.
One of the things that I found most interesting about your candidacy was I've had a lot of people come up to me and say what the difference is between Jerry Healy and Steve Fulop. Obviously, it's fairly stark, but that there's a difference just in 2 different Jersey cities. That you've got a younger, perhaps more technologically driven side, and perhaps you've got an older, more established Jersey City. Do you see a difference? Are there 2 Jersey cities? Are you representative of one as opposed to the other? What do you think about that?
It's a misconception, and the reason I say that is if you look at the election results, we won 5 out of the 6 wards, and the 1 ward that we lost by 40 votes. So when you think about different demographics, different ages, the diversity of the city, we really were successful in every single situation. For the last 8 years, people have been saying, he could only represent downtown, or he's this, this guy who's not going to get into some of the other communities. And, every time we've proved them wrong, and, it's fine. It's good to be underestimated. I like it.
Just about 30 seconds left. You're already being talked about for the next job. Everybody says Steve Fulop won. Maybe he could be in the mention for 2017 for governor. Are you flattered by that talk?
Yeah, it's flattering, but I think the reality of the situation is that we haven't even put a transition team in place. And I think anytime you get a younger person that is successful in a tough election like we were with all the political interests on the other side, people are going to start talking about what's next. And the reality is that the only thing that's next is Jersey City, and we are going to focus on that. And I think our team's going to do a bang-up job. I think people in Jersey City are going to be really, really pleasantly surprised with the tenacity that we approach improving the city.
Mayor-elect Steve Fulop, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Good to see you. All right, folks, stick around. Plenty to come on New Jersey Power and Politics. Welcome back to New Jersey Power and Politics. I'm Luke Margolis. All the ladies were swooning at one of Governor Christie's public events this week. Maybe it didn't have much to do with him, rather his guest, Britain's Prince Harry. The 2 visited Maniloking and Seaside Heights to have a look at the recovery process from Sandy and play a few games along the boardwalk. Prince Harry's souvenir from his Jersey vacation, a blue fleece, just like the one Governor Christie wore during the aftermath of Sandy. Gotta hand it to Jerry Healy. Win or lose, the guy does it with a genuine smile on his face. As we talked about earlier in the show, he lost his bid for re-election in Jersey City this week. But that didn't stop Healy from breaking into song. After conceding to Steve Fulop, he left supporters with a memorable goodbye.
Under the boardwalk, down by the sea, yeah, on a blanket with my baby. Where I'll be.
Jerry Healy has always been an engaging, entertaining, and accessible mayor. He was a big help to us in gathering information after Hurricane Sandy and was a frequent guest on this show throughout the years. We wish him luck. That just about wraps it up for us. We'd like to hear what you think about anything we discussed in today's show. Visit our New Jersey Power and Politics Facebook page. Go to NJ-Power-Politics and give us your take on all the latest political headlines. We'll throw them into next week's show. That does it for us. Thanks for joining us here on Power and Politics. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next time.